continuamos ya con el primer caso práctico de la tarde de hoy. Va a ser Nestlé. Cómo Nestlé ha dejado a un lado las aulas y cómo ha empoderado las experiencias de los alumnos en línea. Este caso ha sido posible y esta experiencia ha sido posible por el trabajo conjunto de esta compañía, la que todos conocéis, es la gran compañía internacional especializada en alimentos y bebidas, pues del trabajo conjunto que ha realizado con Cornerstone. A continuación van a intervenir Mary-Jo Rossouw, es Head of Digital Learning de Nestlé, y Andriy Verminskyy, Global Product Manager Training and Learning también de Nestlé. Joanne, está en Switzerland, Suiza, y Andriy está en Estados Unidos. I welcome Joanne and Andriy, and it's up to you. Yeah.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be with you, and hope the next 15 minutes will be enlightening and share a little bit of our experience over the last year. Okay. Andriy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, super.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, great. So, you know, last year, March was a big change for all of us. And basically overnight, Nestlé asked all of its employees, where possible, to start working from home. And, you know, as a result of the pandemic, we needed to make sure that there was continuity in terms of how our employees were learning. So, you know, our focus shifted. We needed to make sure that we kept our people safe, because that is our biggest priority every day, but particularly with the pandemic. So they were encouraged to work from home wherever possible. But at the same time, we needed to support their learning needs, which of course, in March last year was very different to the normal business needs. It was a lot around how do you work remotely? How do you work from home and juggle different roles? How do you connect virtually to teams? How do you lead virtually, and so on? So we had some interesting challenges ahead of us. So initially, you know, when this change happened in March, the L&D community globally were faced with a couple of challenges. Until that point, most of the training was delivered through classrooms. In terms of the skill levels of our learning community, there was varying understanding of what it actually meant to design and build digital content. And now that the majority of our workforce, of our employees were actually working from home, this became a huge trigger to accelerate many projects that we had in our pipeline for capability building, to say, well, you know, let's use the time for them being at home to accelerate these projects.
And in the same time, from the IT side, we also started to see many changes in the way how our business partners approached us, in the way what kind of technologies are needed. And we really needed to step in and very quickly be able to deliver this sometimes new technologies, sometimes existing technologies that were there somewhere on a backside of our log of solutions, and to make sure that those solutions are available, that they are stable, that they are well supported. And really, we started to see massive increase in the usage of tools that sometimes didn't experience that. You know, from the training and learning point of view, we spent the last 3 years actually delivering a lot of new technologies, but some of them were on a very early stage of their life cycle in the organization. So we haven't seen yet that level of usage before, and it was slowly growing, but almost overnight we've seen huge demand, especially on all tools that deliver online learning, virtual classrooms. In some cases, we had to even purchase additional licenses because our at that time our number of licenses were too low to support the demand. And overall, I think IT organization Nestlé has changed the way how we approach even before the pandemic, but the pandemic really accelerated that change of the mindset to more agile. We in a training and learning product, even before the big change came, even in Q1 when we started seeing that some markets already going to quarantine, we started planning our roadmap with that contingency to make sure that we will have available resources to make the changes. So that help us to be prepared to what come. And so we needed to basically move trainings from classroom to digital very quickly, right? This change that normally I would expect to happen in a 2-3 years time, optimistically, sometimes it probably would take us 5 years. We had to accelerate and to deliver in almost 4 or 5 weeks, right? We stopped all classroom trainings, including big corporate classroom programs, and we had to deliver everything online, right? And we needed to support digitalization of those courses. So those classroom programs, they cannot just become online course overnight. There have to be tools that will enable that, right? And this is what we were working on from the IT side to deliver. So we had our LMS globally implemented already several years ago, which is Cornerstone system. The tool was there, and to be honest, the usage of that was not bad. In the same time, we started seeing different demand once pandemic hit, and we started looking on those solutions, those low-hanging fruits, the functionalities that we can enable very quickly. And one of them that we looked first was the playlist functionality. Playlists were really easy to implement, they're very easy to use, and they fit in the need of market very well, because that time markets wanted to communicate to their employees information about how to work from home more efficiently, information about their safety due to COVID, information about sometimes even their emotional well-being, and how virtual working, and so on, right? And so playlist gave them that framework to do it. At that time, we just started to implement playlist, and we did it in around half of the markets. And so very quickly in April, we enabled it globally everywhere, and that was huge success. We started to seeing really that number of playlists been increasing rapidly over the months, and we still see now even that they don't have that need anymore, but that the number of playlists are there. So this is the tool that became part of the culture, and it's used a lot across the globe.
Sorry, just moved on. The second thing that we took advantage of is the custom page functionality in the Cornerstone LMS. So until this point, the way our learners had engaged with content was very much through the standard ways. What we did, which again was responding from a timeliness to the need of learning about various elements, but it was something again that we had been preparing in advance, was launching our Nestlé People Academy. So this was it still is, it's a corporate academy, it's online. It targets all of our employees in multiple languages, and it's really the frame for all capability building, whether it is required or recommended to be an employee at Nestlé. So, it's covering various topics around the culture, around the history, as well as certain skills and pieces of information just around connecting and working with other employees. And this was something that we had been working on for a while, but again, because of the timing of having so many people at home, possibly with a bit more extra time to pick up some learning, we launched this in April last year to really help both to the point of capability building through the pandemic and dealing with this new reality and way of working, and also helping the employees to start upskilling themselves on various different topics. So this is something that we launched in Cornerstone, and since then we've actually gone on to launch many other corporate academies like finance, R&D, operations, etc., using the same framework and functionality within Cornerstone.
Another Cornerstone tool that we rapidly implemented was mobile app. We started preparation for that implementation already in 2019 because there were some technical prerequisites like a new single sign-on that we needed to implement. So everything was ready. We just didn't do proper change management yet, communication, and so on. And so when the need came, we were ready already with the functionality, and we started to see, very rapidly that not all markets, but some markets, for those that had that specific need, they started to use solution very quickly, and we started to see many downloads. Many trainings were delivered in this way, so that really gave market flexibility to come to the end user in the way that they wanted. Again, we do not see that mobile app is or will become our main way of delivery courses, but what we want to make sure with any solution that we are implementing is that it came with mobile as part of the design, right? So is it mobile app? If it's better for end users, then we need to have that ability. Many users consuming still on mobile from browsers. That's also important that solutions support that responsive design because sometimes you don't want to implement the app. So we see that in Cornerstone, we see that flexibility. We have that flexibility that needed, and that allows our end users really to consume the content where they want it, when they want it, and on devices that they want it, right? As a browser, as a phone, as a tablet. We from IT side, we help to enable that, which I think really helped markets to deliver the functionality and deliver these training programs in the way they required.
In addition to the functionality or the technologies that were already available, we also had some additional overnight changes, which was the approach to content. So we saw kind of three big areas. One was we had to quickly get information to our learners that either typically had been delivered through a classroom, or just because it was new, we needed to get information out. And that's where we saw that videos were the quickest way to deliver this information. So we needed to start doing rapidly upskilling of our training teams on how to build videos themselves without having to spend ages working with an agency. We then saw, in terms of actually business continuity of all of our classroom courses, of capability building initiatives, everything pretty much went to virtual classroom within days. Our IT organization were planning to, but managed to do a mass rollout of Microsoft Office, including the Teams, globally within days. So in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, we were able to quickly move to virtual classrooms to continue our capability building. However, this did trigger an enormous need to start upskilling our teams on how to design and facilitate virtual classroom. Of course, in the beginning, it probably wasn't the best quality, but that's something that within about a month or two, we had a program up and running, and it's now something that we're continuing to deliver. And then the third area that we saw quite quickly, but it was a slightly longer term approach, is that a lot of our key classroom courses, which relied on senior speakers, a lot of interactivity, where we couldn't just replicate it into a virtual classroom like Microsoft Teams, we've actually started to have a longer term investment, what we're calling immersive virtual classroom. It's also providing blended. So you can see in the photograph, you will have in-room participants when people can travel or come back into the office, as well as having people connecting in virtually, and you're now moving really to a blended classroom in a new sense of that. So, I think that was just a very quick walkthrough on really within March and almost overnight how we had to cancel classrooms. We had to move into a very different mode of going completely online, from platforms to our content, to the way we engage our learners and our communities. And the conclusions that we can really draw from the last 12 months is that this blended, in that you're having people in the classroom as well as virtual, as well as fully virtual, will remain as options for classroom courses, where classroom course is now the correct delivery channel, because we've proven that we can do everything digital, and now we need to start relooking where classroom plays its role. And for us, massively, we will continue upskilling our learning community on the basics of current digital technology to create digital content, but also new formats, because that's something we need to make sure that they really do stay ahead, so that they can respond quickly to business changes and business needs. Andriy, on mute.
Thank you, John. Yeah, in the same time, from IT point of view, we need to make sure that we have that technical capabilities to support all of that new requirements, new formats. So we working already this year to enlarge our technical landscape, and we bringing new content authoring tools that help us to create that diverse videos, the digital content. Because we really see that we need to be ready to almost anything that happens. So we cannot wait until that happens to actually start delivering something. We need to look ahead. We need to deliver basic stuff. We need to deliver something that we see trending on the market, because really future can change any rapid change and can bring us, overnight. So we need to be ready. We need to have it at least in a pipeline, so then we can easily step in and support the organization.
Thank you for your time today, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk.
Thank you, everyone.